I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time. Hello, and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James. I'm so excited because I get to introduce you to fabulous women who are making a difference on this planet, who are change makers, who have taken control of their lives and want to show us how to do exactly the same thing. So we are on Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, Amazon, video on YouTube. We're here every week. I hope you will subscribe, come back, and meet another fabulous woman. You can also go to cynthiajames.net. That's my website. Sign up for my newsletter or see some of the gifts that I have for you. So today, I'm introducing you to a new friend. Her name is Tracy Coenen, and she is known as a no-nonsense forensic accountant who delivers the real deal to her clients. She's been investigating fraud for more than 25 years, but she didn't always want to be a forensic accountant. She had a dream, actually, of one day becoming a prison warden. Whoa. And she went on to Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to get a criminology degree. A class in financial crime investigations reminded her how much she loved Encyclopedia Brown books as a kid. So she continued her criminology degree, but added accounting and economics courses so that she could sit for the CPA team. And so now she's all about helping people find money in cases of corporate fraud, high net worth divorce, and other strategic shenanigans. So, Tracy, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
I'm happy to be here too. I love your mission of helping to empower women. And that's what I've been working on for the last year, really focusing on. And so it's fun to be able to talk about it with a like-minded person.
Thank you. Well, I want to start with how you grew up. A lot of times people look at successful people and they just think that it was an easy road, that, they didn't have anything going on in their life. So where did you grow up? How did you grow up?
I grew up in the Midwest. I had a 2-parent household. My dad worked in a factory. My mom stayed home to raise the kids. So we didn't have a lot, but we had enough. And my parents found creative ways to, get us the gifts at Christmas and things like that. And the one thing that they really valued was education. So they sent us to the Catholic school down the street from us. They felt that that was where we'd get the best education, and that was important to them. And so they sacrificed and pinched pennies to be able to pay that tuition at that school, because that was really the number one thing that they taught us as kids, was that education was the key to everything. So I was, the first person in our family to ever go to college, right? When you look back to my grandparents and my parents and their brothers and sisters and things like that, I was the first one to go to college. And I worked all through college. My parents contributed what they could, which was, not a whole lot in the scheme of what college costs. So I had to do scholarships, grants, loans, as much as I could. And then I worked all through college, at least 20 hours a week. There are times where I worked nearly full time while I went to school full time so that I could pay for my schooling.
Yeah, well, first of all, bravo.
Thank you.
On a whole lot of levels, for being a first and for doing what you had to do to get to where you wanted to go. I just think it's beautiful. So I guess I want to know, why did you want to be a prison warden?
I don't look like the type who would want to be a prison warden. I don't look tough enough to be a prison warden. But here's where that came from. I was always really interested in prisons, the societies behind bars, the purpose of prisons. Is it to rehabilitate? Is it to punish? Is it to protect society? Trying to balance all sorts of competing interests as it relates to criminal justice. And really, I looked at it from the justice standpoint. How do we achieve justice for these various players, the victims, the perpetrators? And so I was always interested in that. And so being a prison warden to me was just an opportunity to really be where my interests were lying, but also because I felt like I was someone who could bring a positive change to that field. I felt like I was the right person who could be a tough prison warden, but yet advocate for what is right and what is just and what is going to help people. So that's where I came from with that idea.
Well, I totally get that. I got that you were in school with criminology, and then, you went into the accountant classes. But on your sheet, it says that your key focus is finding money in a divorce. I want to know how you got to that place and why that became a key focus.
That is a really great question. I started working in the field of forensic accounting 25 years ago, more than 25 years ago, doing mostly corporate stuff. And still, I do mostly corporate fraud investigations. If you would think of an executive stealing money or doing all kinds of shenanigans with the books or side deals, that compromise the company the executive works for, things like that. And that still is the bulk of my business. I would say only about a third of my consulting work right now is in the divorce space. I initially started out not doing any divorce work at all. It was work that I didn't want to be involved in because of the emotional component that divorce has in it. And it was right around 2006 that a very trusted and well-respected colleague of mine referred a divorce case to me. And it was one of those situations where, out of respect for him, I felt obligated to take that case. And it was a very interesting case as well. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this divorce thing out and see how I like it. And I found that I was able to manage the emotional piece of it well. So even though the clients are very emotional and bring an extra element to these cases that I wasn't used to, I found that I was able to manage that well. And I also found that I was like the calm in the storm. Like I brought something to those cases where I'm very fact focused. And I would say, I know this feels unfair. This isn't something you ever wanted. You have a lot of concerns. I'm here to help you find answers. And I'm here to help you get the best possible financial settlement that you can get in this case. And being so action oriented like that really was something that I found was comforting to these people who are going through this really emotional situation.
Yeah, well, that's so interesting to me. So, so I guess I really want to take a little deeper dive into that, because I want to talk about, I personally have worked with women who have gone through a challenging divorce, and all of a sudden there are all of these barriers thrown up by the ex's attorney, and all of a sudden there's the claims that there's no money, and the women are feeling overwhelmed and unseen. And so tell me, I'm sure that's probably happened to you, but what do you encourage these women to do aside from your expertise to get clear within themselves?
To me, it's really all about knowledge is power. I am really an advocate for getting documents, getting information, understanding what is going on with the money. That is a great big step towards taking back your power in this situation. I find that in divorces, the two main concerns, the things that keep women up at night the most, are the kids and the money. What's going to happen to my kids? How often am I going to see them? And am I going to have enough money to survive on? What is my retirement going to look like, especially if it's someone who has been a stay-at-home mom or out of the workforce for a while? And so by focusing on getting information, it's really, really powerful, because that's where you start to be able to have a good negotiation. If you don't know the money, if you don't know what's been going on, how can you ever have a fair negotiation?
Right. Well, and, I find that a lot of women in relationships, just kind of leave it to the partner. And then all of a sudden they're up against this space. And then it's like, oh, wow, how do I handle that? And so do you advise them too on things that they can do to support themselves after there's a settlement?
In terms of getting work and things like that, of course, I'm encouraging of trying to reestablish a career and getting educated. I work a little bit on the post-divorce types of things from the standpoint of how do you protect yourself financially? How do you make sure that your ex never meddles in your finances again? So I do advise on how do you protect your credit after the marriage to make sure that there aren't any credit cards that still have your name on that your ex has access to, for example. How do you go through changing beneficiaries on life insurance policies? Get your will changed. There are a number of important things that have to happen after divorce to protect yourself financially. And I advise on those kinds of things.
Well, that's beautiful. So how do companies find you? I mean, is it referral? Do you promote yourself? How does that happen?
I am found typically by the divorce attorneys, but I am finding more and more that women are seeking out information on the internet, trying to learn on their own what they need to do. And they're finding me that way and contacting me directly. So that has become more of a source of people finding me. Now, the downside to this is I only work on about 4 to 5 divorce cases a year. So I don't have a lot of bandwidth to do a lot of divorce cases.
Right, right. So, you're a strong woman, you're a smart woman. The field that you're in, has it been predominantly male?
It sure has. When I started, so I've been in forensic accounting for over 25 years. I started my business 23 years ago, and I was definitely, in the minority then. I'm still in the minority now. There are certainly a lot more women doing forensic accounting than there were then. But it was at that time, I was really amongst a field of men. I would say the attorneys that I work with are predominantly men still. So, I will often be the only woman in the room, but I don't personally focus on that. I focus on my skills, what I bring to the table. And I find that I have a method of communicating that works well in those situations. And I'd like to think that my gender is not anyone else's focus either when I'm at the table with them.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting here looking at you. You're beautiful, you're feminine, and you're bright at the same time. And so the fact that you found a way how to walk that line is exquisite to me. So in your ideal life, what do the next 5 years look like?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I just told you a couple minutes ago about how I can't help a whole lot of people with their divorces. So last year, I was actually a little bit distraught about that. I said, there are so many women out here who need help in their divorces, and they're calling me and saying, can you help me? And I just don't have the ability to help enough women. So I came up with a concept called the Divorce Money Guide, which is a do-it-yourself concept for people who need help with the finances in their divorce. So you can't hire a forensic accountant for whatever reason, but here's what you can do. I can help you find what information you need to get, how to get that, what to look at in it. And I created that so that I could help more women. And my goal, as I was thinking about what kind of goal could I have with this? And knowing that there are about 700,000 divorces filed every year in the United States, I said, I want to help 1,000 women have better financial outcomes in their divorces every year, just 1,000 of them. And if I could do that, just think how life-changing it would be for them. And so that became part of my 5-year plan. My 5-year plan is to, help 1,000 women in 1 year and then ramp it up from there and really empower women to come out of those divorces with better financial settlements.
And so this guide it's a book, it's a class. What is it?
So I call it an online handbook. It's actually on an online learning platform. So it's videos, it's PDFs. If you don't like to read, watch the videos. If you don't like to watch the videos, read worksheets, checklists, walking you through what I've done in 10 steps for guiding you through. Here's what the financial part of your divorce is going to look like. Here are the documents you need. Here's how you get them. And here's what you do with them once you have them. So that's the Divorce Money Guide. It is an online product to walk you through that process.
Oh, that's incredible. Now, are you married? Do you have children?
I'm married, but no children.
Okay. Well, okay. The reason I'm asking you this question is that, you're a powerhouse. I mean, you are strong and successful and clear. And how do you manage between all of this work that you're doing and this relationship to just really stay in your center of self-care?
I'd like to be honest with you and tell you I'm not managing that very well right now. I have been working far too much, but I do believe that admitting there's a problem is the first step to fixing that problem, right? What I've been focusing on this year is protecting my time. So that means for me, scheduling days where I'm not going to work and then really viciously protecting that time and not moving those boundaries. If I say I'm not checking email on a day, then I don't check email on that day. And so that has allowed me to start bringing some life back to myself, because last year, gosh, I was working 7 days a week. I was working about 80 hours a week because I was doing all of my consulting work and trying to launch this product because it was so, so important to me, and market it because it's been quite a process to educate people about what I'm offering and why it will benefit them. And I found that I was getting very, very burnt out. So this year I said, okay, I really need to protect my time and take days off, non-negotiable.
Well, I love that we're having this conversation, and I hope that the ladies are listening, because it takes intention and focus to find that balance, that equilibrium. And we're not always great at it, but I think finding out what's non-negotiable is a really, really important thing. So what do you want women to know about the importance of their clarity around finances and relationship?
First, I want them to know that they should not be ashamed of what they don't know about the money. You mentioned earlier that in so many marriages, wife will be hands off with the money and not know what's going on. It is so common. And sometimes it's the opposite way, right? Sometimes it's husband doesn't know because wife is taking care of the bills. Doesn't matter which role it is. But this is so very common in marriage, because in marriage, we divide and conquer. We share responsibilities. You drop the kids off at school. I pick the kids up or something of that nature. And so for one spouse to take care of the budget and the money is totally common. So I want women to know, please do not be ashamed that you don't know about the money, because there's a lot of people in the exact same boat. The second thing I need them to know is you can start understanding your money situation today, and you can start making steps. You don't have to be so-called good with money or good with numbers. We can get you there. We can get you knowing what you need to know about what your money has spent on, what your budget going forward might look like. And again, I mentioned it before, knowledge is power.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said there is no shame here, and that now it's just you get to learn what you didn't know that's going to take you to the next level. Tell me how people find you and find your product.
Well, they're going to find me at my website, fraudcoach.com, because I am your fraud coach through all of this. And I've created a landing page just for your listeners that they're going to find at fraudcoach.com/women awakening. So that's a / women awakening. Easy to remember because they're here listening to us, right?
Right. Absolutely. So ladies, I hope you will check it out, especially if you're going through something, in relationship, or you just want to have a better understanding. Please go and see what she's offering. So I asked the women on this show the same last question. The show is called Women Awakening. Tell me what you think is the most important thing about women awakening on the planet in this moment.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think women awakening to recognize their own power and their own ability to choose for themselves, to make their own decisions, to be in control of their lives. This is what I see in the divorce process. I see women who have been married for years and have maybe let their own needs take a back seat to the needs of their spouse, their children, their pets. And divorce is really a time where they can put some focus back on themselves in their life going forward. So for me, women awakening after divorce and coming into this new chapter of their lives with joy, agency over themselves, the ability to choose new things for themselves is so exciting.
It most certainly is. It's incredible. Well, Tracy, I'm so grateful that you've been here. I'm so excited about the work you're doing on this planet and that you've opened the space for more women to understand that they can take care of themselves and they can make great choices. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was fun talking to you.
So, ladies, I'm going to say the same thing I say to you every week in a different way. This is the moment for you to awaken fully, to stand in your power, to open the portals of possibility and step through, to remember that you're magnificent, that you're powerful, that you're dynamic, that there's nothing standing in the way, that whatever circumstances you have going on in your life, there are always answers to the questions. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so honored to do this work with you, to be here with you every week. I love you, and I'll see you next time.